Nick, I sit here and I honestly, I don't really know the spin the other way. Like, I don't know how you continue. If your coach continues to lose games, you just say, well, I mean, it's just been bad. Like, he hasn't had, the players to work with. He hasn't had everything around him. And it's like, guys, I get it. But when you attach yourself to the hip of the general manager and you would be then, 4-20 in your last 24 games, coaches don't stay employed with that kind of record. It doesn't happen, especially 6 years into your tenure and you're on a stretch that way. If it's year one, Dan Campbell, I think, was 4-19-1 across his first 24 games. It was bad. Like, Dan Campbell was not putting success in the Detroit Lions, but it took them some time to build up that team for Dan Campbell. We're in year 6. Like, you don't have that same luxury if you're Kevin Stefanski.
So the other, the devil's advocate argument about this would be, what'd you expect this year to be? You look at those first 6 weeks, you projected this team to be at about 4 or 5 wins anyway. You knew that most of those wins weren't going to come early in the schedule. And then the other devil's advocate argument would be, well, what would a change really do? Because the offensive line is so bad, because the receivers are so bad, because the quarterback play has been, up and down, maybe at absolute best. Here's my thing, though. Even if they thought this season was a reset and they didn't have much faith in any of these quarterbacks or any of their options, which is why they put together an island of misfit toys, for the 4-man quarterback competition this offseason, even if all of that is true and the expectations were ground floor coming into this, I think the fact that you heard Grant Delpit say what he said, that he forgets what winning feels like. You heard Myles Garrett kind of call out the entire offensive coaching staff, saying that he would have preferred to see more Quinshon Judkins against the Steelers, but, quote, they saw it differently. The fact that it's gone the way that it has and you're starting to hear the alarming things that you're hearing, it's yeah, maybe it is time for just a new voice in the room, even if it's somebody random. You saw Tennessee promoted an offensive advisor or an offensive control guy to be their interim head coach just to try to get a different voice, just to try to enlist some fight, because at the end of the day, you still got more than 10 regular season games just to hit the finish line. The get-in price to the stadium today is less than $20. You've got to do something to keep not just the fans engaged, but the guys in that room engaged to just hit the finish line of the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't sit there and I think, yes, as much as we expected it to be, maybe it could be 1-5 after the first 6 games, or maybe it's 2-4. As much as we expected it to be bad, I think the way it looks matters, right? We expected them not to win a ton of games, but less because the Browns offense was so inept that it couldn't function, and more so because we played 6 really good teams in that stretch, 6 potential playoff teams. Yeah, those teams are going to be better than you. We know it's not going to be great, but Kevin can't just continue to lose games. Kevin can't be the bottom team in points per game. You talk about the Titans. A Raiders coach was quoted much earlier this week saying, that's the worst team, the actual roster that I've seen built in the last 25 years, and said that the only difference maker on the entire roster was Jeffrey Simmons.
Yep.
They have averaged more points than you, albeit by 0.1 points per game. They've also been atrocious. They've averaged more. The New Orleans Saints, averaging 5 points per game more than you are right now. They're starting Spencer Rattler at quarterback. It was a decision between him and Tyler Shuck. Okay, I compared that as the worst quarterback room in the NFL. If the Browns are better than one team, you could always go back and say, well, the quarterback room's at least better than what the Saints have right now, right? I mean, you can keep it going. The Jets haven't won a game this year. They're averaging more than 20 points per game. The Giants have been bad. They're averaging more than 20 points per game. Houston, people are talking about that offense being completely inept and not being able to score, and granted, their stats are a little inflated by putting 44 up against the Ravens, but a team that you couldn't score more than 17 against, they're sitting at over 21 points per game. It is the worst offense in the NFL, and I don't care how bad the players in the room are. The Titans have less of them,
right,
and are on the same page as you. This is supposed to be the scheme. This is Kevin's thing, right? And he does not get a pass. I'm sorry. And I don't know that firing a coach in the middle of the year does anything. I'm usually very against that. But you don't just continue to get a pass. You are a scheme X's and O's offensive guy. That means the scheme and offensive X's and O's have to look good. Because when you're obviously not in charge of the defense. You have Jim Schwartz doing that. That unit looks good. You're not the rah-rah guy, right? You're not the one that people are going to run through a wall for. You're not a leader of men. So it's not like you're firing up to play every single Sunday. It's supposed to be what's on the field, and that looks terrible. Like, when the part that you're in charge of looks as bad as it has for as long as it has, you stop getting a pass from this team.
So you threw out all the comparisons there of teams, in this league right now in the Big 2025 that the Browns still are not better than offensively. Jake, like after they lost to the Steelers, I saw people throwing out like 1-31 comparisons. Like that 1-31 offense with Deshaun Kaiser, who was throwing flea flickers into triple coverage. That offense was better than what we're seeing right now. And like we all laughed Hugh Jackson out of town. And like Kevin Stefanski still somehow has this offensive guru, offensive genius. If he got fired today, he'd have a job week 1 next year. Like, okay, even if that's true, even if the perception of Kevin from the 31 other ball clubs is still that high, it doesn't change the fact that things aren't working here. It doesn't change the fact that you've got key members of that defense that are publicly like they're like crying for help to the media, saying that like this isn't working. Like we have to change something. So, like, I don't want to say it's a fireable offense because, like, I really don't want to sit here and call for Kevin's job because we have seen him be a good coach and all that stuff. It's just, like, if you're Jimmy Haslam and you're watching this and today goes bad, like, what do you do other than throw up your hands and say that this guy just clearly isn't it?
But, Nick, good coaches get fired.
Yeah.
That's the National Football League.
Yeah.
When you
like,
stop
the Titans probably shouldn't have fired Vrabel.
But, Vrabel to some degree was still having a little bit of success. Right. Obviously, he had fallen off a little bit towards the end, but, like, there was still success there. Vrabel's a little more confusing, but, like, I'd say Andy Reid was fired, like, multiple times in his career has been fired, and he's currently considered the best coach in the NFL. Like, you can be a good coach and not be doing your job and perform well. Sometimes as a coach, you probably need that wake-up call. You need a change of scenery, the same way we talk about it with players. Like, and that can be the case for Kevin. Like, if Kevin went off and won a Super Bowl in the next 5 years, is Cleveland going to be mad? Yeah, you're going to sit there and you're going to be mad. But the reality is, if you're not getting it done in the job that you're in right now, it's not like you deserve to keep that job. And I'd love to go to bat for Kevin Stefanski. I don't want to sit here and basically act as if I'm calling for Kevin's job. But at some point, like, somebody has to be held accountable for what has just been absolutely horrendous. And you want to sit up there and you want to tell me this seems much better than people think it or giving it credit for, and this team isn't as bad as people think, and the offense is going back to what it was. It's going to look better, and you don't follow through on your word. Somebody eventually gets fired for that. That's the National Football League. Somebody loses their job. That's a reality of the sport. So, like, I try not to sit here and call for people's jobs because that's not my place. I'm not the one who decides those things. But at the same time, it's like, hey, am I supposed to just be a bystander watching by and being like, but Kevin's still a good coach? No, guys, he's losing. He's not a good coach right now.
You think he would secretly, like, if you hooked him up to a polygraph, you think he would secretly welcome it? Like, just because it's been so turbulent since he arrived, really. Like, he had to deal with the Odell stuff and then Baker and then the biggest trade in the history of the league and the biggest contract in the history of the league just completely backfired and blew up in his face. And the fact that he seemingly has lost his magic and he presses every button that he presses is the wrong one offensively. Like, I kind of wonder if he would kind of just welcome it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something like a coach trying to get to a level to be a head coach in the NFL. You probably love to keep your job.
Yeah, like you're an assistant for decades.
Yeah, I also think you're probably not wrong that there's a point that you get to that you're sitting there and you're going, well, if I'm just going to be hired week 1 next year, like, even if it's not as a head coach, getting out of Cleveland and having the perception changed on me if I can turn something around somewhere else might just be worth it. And what happens when that goes down? You know what the national media does. You go, well, that's the Cleveland Browns, right? Kevin Stefanski can figure it out somewhere else, but couldn't figure it out in Cleveland. Right.
I'm already ready for, like, I've already prepared myself for that to happen. Like, I've already prepared myself that if they lose this game today, you wake up early tomorrow, you being in, sports media and sports journalism and news, like, because that Adam Schefter notification can come at any hour. And then from there, the next layer is all of the national people kind of raking the the coals over the Browns, saying that this is a guy that won 2 coaches of the year. This is a guy that made it work with PJ Walker and Jacoby Brissett, and he's going to have a job next year. Like, when they put out the list of top coaching candidates with Saleh and Arthur Smith and all of these guys that are going to be the trendy names that you hear in this cycle, Kevin Stefanski's name is going to be on that list of top availables. Like, I'm already ready for that mentally. It's just that that's what happens when I agree with you that, like, even the best coaches can't survive this. Like, Jimmy Haslam said it at the beginning of this season, 3 wins ain't gonna cut it. Right now, you're third of the season, you've got 1 win, you're pacing for 3, and the owner said before the season started that ain't gonna cut it. Like, that's what it is.
Like, guys, sometimes the National Football League isn't fair. If I'm sure when we talk to Daryl at 9 o'clock, he'll tell you Andrew Berry has his hand in the pot and he bought spoiled groceries, and that's what Kevin's working with. At the same time, like, I don't know that Brian Callahan's a good coach. He didn't have anything to work with.
Right.
He got fired after 4-19 and having a rookie quarterback. You don't just get to hold on to your job.